This is Sally Farmer-Neville, author of Sensual Pleasures and the Art of Morphing into a Health Goddess, published by Delancey Press. Sally, tell us about the book and when it was written.
It was actually written 3 years ago, published 3 years ago, and I'm very, very proud to be a finalist tonight because health books never ever get awards, so it's very thrilling for me with my health book.
And you're also an accomplished actress, I know.
I'm an actress as well, and I have won awards for acting. I haven't won an award tonight, but I'm very pleased that my stablemate, Brett Allegri Wood, also from Delancey Press, won.
Excellent. And are you writing anything else at the moment?
Well, I'm struggling with my autobiography because I've had such an interesting life. I've got 5 chapters in and I'm still writing.
And will that be published by Delancey, hopefully?
Of course it will be published by Delancey. It's just me who's got to complete it.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. This is Philip King, author of Bluey Meets Father Christmas, published by the Jolly Publishing Company. Philip, tell me about the book and how you started to write it.
Oh, well, the book's going back many years. I happened to be sitting in the car waiting for my son to get changed after a football match. A little droplet of water ran down the windscreen, looked a slightly different colour, almost blue. And I just started to wonder where that water droplet had been before. And suddenly, by that evening, I'd written the first story, which is called Bluey the Little Drip. This is the second publication, which is Bluey Meets Father Christmas. And in this one, they become snowflakes and icicles, and it's just the trend.
And was your first book published?
Yeah, the first book was published. Hasn't been a big seller because it's a new idea.
Right.
I have identified 88 bolt-on ideas that people could license, sort of swimming costumes, water bottles, etc., all with water themes. So.
And you've given up your full-time job, I believe, to concentrate on writing, is that right?
Yes, I have, and it's the best decision I made.
Excellent. And what's in the pipeline coming up? The 88 other ideas?
Well, I've written 4 further stories in the Bluey series, and I'm looking at now getting those published. And I've also written another story about a wizard, but it's for younger children. And hopefully that's going to be coming out latter part of next year.
And will that be published by the Jolly Publishing Company?
Oh, yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed, Philip. Cheers. Bye-bye. This is Kevin Norley, author of Making Britain Literate, published by Imprimatur Publishers. Kevin, tell me about the book.
Okay, the book looks at areas of difficulties that many learners face in developing their literacy and language skills. And looks at a range of ideas, methods and resources for resolving those difficulties. I make a link between the spoken grammar and written grammar. That's one of the main focuses of the book. It's interesting that Beryl Bainbridge, there was an interview played shortly after she died, and she was talking about how important it would be to bring back elocution into schools. I mentioned about that in my book as well.
And who is it aimed at, your book?
It's aimed at people who struggle with literacy, people who struggle with language, so ESOL learners, that's English for speakers of other languages. It's meant for students in colleges, training providers and prisons.
I noticed that you worked in Botswana and Kenya, is that right?
Correct, yes. Well, when I was working in Botswana and Kenya, I was actually teaching science. But by the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, yes, to be able to learn science, you need some numeracy. You also need an element of literacy as well, to be able to read the questions, to be able to write. So I started developing my ideas, and also in terms of language teaching as well. I developed my ideas starting when I was in Botswana and Kenya. I developed those ideas further when I came back to Britain and started working in adult education. As I said, working for a range of training providers, colleges, schools, prisons and so on.
And Imprimatur Publishing are based where?
Imprimatur Publishers are based on Albemarle Street in London, near Green Park, ironically at the other end of the road from the Royal Institute, where I go sometimes for meetings, where they discuss literacy and numeracy developments in schools and colleges and so on. And if I can, I'd just like to thank Ian Burns, who's the chairman of the Imprimatur Publishers, who's been very supportive in developing my books, both this one and my other book, Making Britain Numerate.
Thank you very much indeed, Kevin. Thank you. I've got Bran Lander here, author of Empire Apart, published by Picnic Publishing Limited. I gather, Bran, that you defy classification, so tell me about yourself.
I have done all sorts of things. It's far too long to talk about. I work for charity, I work for the prison service, I worked in manufacturing, I was finance director of Penguin, finance director of...
So tell me when you've got time to write this, and tell me a bit more about the title.
Well, the book, it's about American and Russian history, comparing the American and Russian empires, and the similarities between the two. The first English settlers crossed the Atlantic and the first Russian settlers crossed the Urals at the same time, and then went conquering to the Pacific and on to Afghanistan and other parts of the world, and it's about that.
And interestingly, you've got both the US edition and the UK edition.
The US edition comes out next month, but they've chopped out quite a few bits that were considered anti-American. We've had fun and games with the American edition.
I'm sure you have. And are you writing anything else at the moment?
I'm writing a book about corporate power.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed, Bran. Thank you. Tatiana, now that everybody's left and the party's over, as they say, it's been a fantastic success. Tell us about the People's Book Prize.
But the party is not over, because the People's Book Prize starts today again and every day, because this is the X factor of books. So let the public vote, let the publishers submit their new titles, let the wonderful libraries get the collections. So people may have gone, but everybody will benefit out of the People's Book Prize. And I very much hope that we will grow, as Dame Beryl Bainbridge said, from strength to strength to be the most important prize for authors. All the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Tatiana, very much indeed. Thank you.
To vote for the People's Book Prize winners of the future, go to www.peoplesbookprize.com.